So we have our new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, we have our new Chancellor, John Healey, and he is set to deliver his budget on the 28th of October. And I honestly think this one matters for business owners. Andy Burnham's come into power promising change, more investment, regional growth, housing and infrastructure, and more support for British businesses. And he's already been talking about bringing down the cost of doing business, giving businesses more certainty and using government spending to back UK jobs and investment. But at exactly the same time, John Healey has been very clear. Fiscal discipline comes first. And he has said the government will stick to the fiscal rules. So that leaves one very obvious question. How does the government pay for everything that Andy Burnham wants to do? Broadly, there are three levers: raise more tax, reduce or reprioritise spending, or use more borrowing, particularly borrowing for investment. And actually, that last one is becoming increasingly interesting. The Treasury is actually looking at whether it can use more of the flexibility within the fiscal rules to invest through things like infrastructure, housing, the British Business Bank, and the National Wealth Fund. So this budget may not simply be a story about tax rises. It could be a mixture of where taxes increase, where businesses get support, and where the government decides to invest. Now, over this video series, I'm going to break down the areas that I think business owners should be watching more closely. Capital gains tax, particularly if you're thinking of selling a business, pensions, property, and the debate around council tax and stamp duty, inheritance tax and succession, and corporation tax and other business taxes. And obviously, he's talking a lot about business rates at the moment. And the opportunities that actually come from regional investment infrastructure and more government support for UK businesses. Now, here's the important bit. Don't panic before the budget, but don't ignore it either. So if you do have plans to sell, or if you have no plans to sell, restructure, or make any significant financial decisions, I wouldn't manufacture one just because the Chancellor is speaking on the 28th of October. But if you already know that something is likely to happen, perhaps you're already discussing the sale of your business, you want to restructure, or you're planning succession, you're considering a significant pension contribution, or perhaps a major property transaction is already on the table, then you may genuinely want to look at whether acting before the budget makes sense. Because some tax changes can take effect from the budget day itself. We've seen that with capital gains tax before. So this isn't about rushing because of a newspaper headline, but it's about asking, is this transaction happening anyway? If the answer is yes, then let's understand what the tax looks like today, what reliefs are currently available, and whether there is anything that needs fixing first, and whether there's a genuine commercial reason to complete before the 28th of October. Because sometimes the right advice will be wait, and sometimes it may genuinely be, if you're doing this anyway, let's get it moving. The important thing is that the budget shouldn't be the making of the decision for you. It should be part of the information you use to make it. Because the best budget planning isn't about predicting exactly what the Chancellor will say. I wish I could, and I wish I had a crystal ball, but it's about being ready when he says it.